Madame la Présidente, j'ai le plaisir de prendre la parole à la Chambre aujourd'hui à l'occasion de la deuxième lecture du projet de loi 47, de la loi sur la santé du bétail. Livestock health is currently regulated under the Diseases of Animals Act and the Poultry Health Protection Act in New Brunswick. These statutes were established in 1974 and 1973, respectively. Farming practices, including the selling and moving of livestock, have since evolved significantly. The proposed legislation will repeal the current Diseases of Animals Act and the Poultry Health Protection Act and modernize the protection of livestock health in New Brunswick. La loi établira des exigences pour protéger le bétail contre les dangers, et prescrira par règlement et les dangers à signaler et les dangers désignés, ainsi que tout nouveau danger émergent susceptible de nuire à la santé au bétail, à la santé humaine et ou l'environnement. This legislation will also designate a chief veterinary officer with the authority to take necessary measures to mitigate and minimize the impact of identified hazards on livestock, including provisions to recover costs for the mitigation or control of hazards. This authority does not currently exist. At present, no action can be taken until a laboratory test confirms the presence of a hazard. The Act will enhance the tools to support compliance and enforcement with the legislation, including the appointment of inspectors to carry out inspections and the use of orders, administrative penalties, and provincial offenses with penalties to deter non-compliance. Un processus d'appel des arrêts et des pénalties administratifs pour les personnes jugettes au respect des dispositions législatives et aux mesures d'exécution d'afférentes entrant également dans la liste des modifications. The Act will also provide regulation-making authority to support the legislation, including the authority to establish a financial aid program to compensate producers required to comply with orders issued for a very significant livestock hazard emergency. Madam Speaker, the time has come to introduce this important legislation. Our province must be ready to act on current and emerging threats to the health of our livestock. Ce nouveau projet de loi interdira à toute personne de vendre, de rassembler, de montrer, d'exposer et d'échanger du bétail si celui-ci fait l'objet d'un arrêt sanitaire délivré par le chef des services vétérinaires et de cacher la présence d'un danger pour la santé, désigné au sein du bétail en sa possession ou dont il a la garde ou la surveillance. In addition, the Chief Veterinary Officer and inspectors would have the power and duty to issue the following types of general orders to a person where there is either suspicion or confirmation of a reportable hazard in livestock or premises with livestock, which would include cleaning and disinfecting orders, livestock care orders, quarantine orders, surveillance zone orders, or treatment orders. A person will have the right to appeal orders for compliance, cleaning and disinfection, livestock care, quarantine, surveillance, and treatment to the person or body of persons established under the regulations. Pour les événements plus graves ou une urgence concernant un danger pour la santé réelle ou soupçonnée au sein du bétail ou dans des installations pour le bétail, le chef des services vétérinaires aurait les attributions pour exercer des arrêts comme interruption du transport de bétail, élimination de bétail ou restriction en lien avec la santé du bétail. The Chief Veterinary Officer would only use the power and duty of the destruction of livestock order upon confirmation of a hazard in livestock. Madam Speaker, replacing the Diseases of Animals Act and the Poultry Health Protection Act in New Brunswick with one new act will help government streamline the regulatory burden imposed upon the agriculture industry by consolidating and clarifying legislation and regulatory requirements. Le projet de loi s'inscrit dans l'engagement électoral du gouvernement sur la sécurité alimentaire en garantissant une meilleure protection des secteurs au bétail, lesquels occupent une place importante dans l'industrie agricole du Nouveau-Brunswick. Les modifications proposées sont également destinées à favoriser le développement durable du secteur du bétail tout en étudiant les effets nuisibles qui pourraient subir deux éléments qui touchent principalement les régions rurales de la province. The legislation being proposed is proactive in nature and seeks to ensure an updated legislative framework is in place to manage disease effectively within the province and to reduce the impact on agriculture as seen in jurisdictions where African swine fever is a highly contagious disease, having effect which is devastating in its economic impacts upon the swine industry. The Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the SPCA Act, applies broadly to the custody and care of any animal. The livestock care order in this proposal would only pertain to situations where necessary due to a hazard in livestock. The SPCA Act would continue to apply to situations where an owner is unable to meet the standards for basic livestock care. For example, providing shelter, livestock animals with food, water, shelter, and care when an animal is not suspected or confirmed with a designated hazard. The department is engaged with the New Brunswick SPCA Chief Inspector and will continue to work with the New Brunswick SPCA to ensure respective roles and responsibilities are understood and to cooperate on regulatory matters where needed. Madame la Présidente, nous devons stimuler le développement durable du secteur du bétail tout en atténuant les conséquences potentiellement nuisibles qui pourraient subir. New Brunswickers expect this, and the Livestock Health Act allows us to achieve this objective. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Merci.